Hello and good afternoon. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our broadcast. I'm David Stringer, CEO of Insignia Group, and this is our first webcast of our series, Are You There? Engaging Customers Beyond the Showroom. First off, before we dive in, I want to just say from our team at Insignia that we are wishing everybody who is affected by what's going on out there our deepest thoughts and prayers. We know that everybody is dealing with this in some fashion or form, and we just appreciate how we are all trying to get through this together. So we are all affected one way or another, and we're all in it together. So thanks for joining our web series today. This is going to be a web series that will focus on how dealerships all over our country are responding to these new realities. The importance here is to talk about how the dealerships are responding, as well as keeping vehicle personalization, obviously a major part of the car sale process. So I'd like to introduce two of Insignia's very successful dealership groups that are here today. First to that way on screen is Peter Bothe from Wild East Town Honda in Madison, Wisconsin. And then that room full of guys that are socially distancing 6 feet apart is the team at Fred Anderson Toyota in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we've got Sean Mahaffey, General Manager, Greg Perry, Sales Manager, and then the one and only in the back of the room there, Toyota Jeff. His mom calls him Jeff Teague, but everybody else calls him Toyota Jeff. So guys, gentlemen, welcome very much. If you don't mind, starting with Peter, if you'll tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been in the car business, the positions you've held, and then end with what do you currently drive, which is always an important question for us at Insignia.
Sure. Well, my name is Peter Bothe. I work at Wild East Town Honda. I've been there since we opened back in 2012. I started in the business 22 years ago. I've ran almost every position in the front end of the business, at least, salesperson to finance manager, to sales manager, to lead manager now. Currently, I drive a 2019 Honda Ridgeline RTLE.
Very nice. Guys at Fred Anderson?
You got me here, Sean Mahaffey. Been with the Anderson Automotive Group here for several years. Been in the car business for 23 years. I've held all positions from car detailer to service advisor, service director, now the general manager here at our store. And I currently drive a Toyota Tundra and a Sequoia. So I've got a couple of Toyotas in the driveway.
Nice.
To my right is going to be Greg Perry, my general sales manager.
Yep, I've been here 7.5, almost 8 years now. I started in sales, working way up to finance, sales manager. Now I'm the general sales manager, and I drive a Tundra and a Land Cruiser.
Nice.
And I'm Jeff Teague. I've been with the dealership almost 15 years now. I've done sales most of that time. Now I'm in charge of growing our social media, our organic content. And I also have a successful YouTube channel called Toyota Jeff, where I tell everything about the world of Toyota. And I drive a Camry XLE. My wife drives a RAV4 Limited, and we have a Corolla and a Camry for my kids.
Holy cow. Well, I don't think that you could drive anything else, Toyota Jeff, and still be Toyota Jeff. So. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. So we've got a couple of folks that have already come into the channel here. We've got Darren from State Line, which is one of our great customers up in Fort Mill. So welcome, Darren. Throughout the broadcast, feel free to post comments and questions. What we're going to do is we're going to go through about a 20-minute or so moderated discussion, and then we'll get into some questions at the bottom of the hour, and that will finish us off close to the top of the hour of 2 o'clock. So again, thank you and welcome. So to say it's modestly, we've all been widely affected by what's happened. And what we've seen at Insignia is that about the middle of March, there was sort of this slow adoption to what's going on. And then all of a sudden at the beginning of April, it was, I called it dealer panic week. So we had calls, we had emails, we had, everybody reaching out to us, saying, what can you do? How can you help us? How can you help us get, through this time period? So Insignia sure has seen the front lines of this from the dealer reaction perspective. What I wanted to ask both groups, and if you'll just comment, how have you seen this progression happen specifically as it relates to the adoption, if you will, or just the adapting to the situation in the showroom? And then how has that sort of moderated out in the last, I'd say, 2 weeks? I think we're kind of in a new normal. We've moved into a sort of a new normal, if you will. What are you guys seeing in your parts of the country?
Well, up here in Madison, we are at a stay-at-home order that actually ends next week. They talked about extending it through the end of the month. But we started seeing decline in business probably mid last month. And, as soon as the stay-at-home order started, our showrooms are a little empty right now, but our online business has boomed since all of that. So we definitely are changing some of our processes, to adapt to the new business that's coming in and to adapt for all of that.
So prior to the whole situation, what's a normal month for you in new and used units?
Right around 300 is our average. We were less than half of that last month.
Okay, and so now, as you see, sort of the percentage of online sales, as well as your, are you delivering anything at the showroom from the perspective of they can come pick it up and go? Or is it simply delivery, and everything's happening over the internet?
No, we're definitely open. We haven't seen a ton of walk-in traffic, okay. But with what we do get, we spot most of our business that's coming in. Where we put out on our website kind of instructions for customers to kind of get an idea for what we're actually doing and how to not only keep them safe, but to keep our employees safe as well. Asking customers to come in, with one person versus the whole family. So, it's a learning curve, not only for us, but for customers too. And we're trying to help them learn how to be better customers too right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So now what's about your run rate for this month as we're middle of April?
I'm at 15 new cars delivered on the 15th. So not great, but the one thing that, and you kind of mentioned it, that, there was dealer freakout week, and it's really easy to be frustrated in times like this, and the one thing that I keep reminding not only my staff, but everybody that I am in contact with, is our business is very different than a lot of other businesses out there. If you're hungry and you go to a restaurant and they're closed, well, you're going to find somewhere else to go get something to eat. If you need a car, well, more than likely, you're probably going to just wait until that business is back open. So we're really anticipating a huge pent up demand, a huge potential for what I think is the biggest summer selling season that I've ever seen in 22 years. I'm hoping.
Great. Well, I want to come back to that. Guys in Raleigh, what are you guys seeing? How have you kind of seen the transition in your part of the world?
So here it's definitely dropped off drastically. Last month we were just over 300 total cars when we usually are around 500 plus every month. This month we're probably tracking to be over 200, maybe in that 250 total. But again, when you're used to 500 plus cars, it's definitely an eye-opening experience. You're used to coming in and it's like the last day of the year every day, but now it's more of a come in and you're just scratching and clawing for every single customer. But our state's done a great job with all the rules and regulations they put into place with the 6-foot rule. We have at least 1 million bottles of Purell throughout our showrooms. They're being refilled almost every 5 minutes because everybody uses Purell every 5 seconds now. So it's actually fun to see everybody making the change and being positive with it. The one thing that we see is we almost have to remind our customers to obey those type of rules because you know how it is. You're here, you're excited to buy a new Tundra or whatever. And the last thing you're thinking about is social distancing when you're trying to take your new ride home. So we're definitely doing a great job of being polite at the same time, making sure people follow the state's rules for sure.
Yeah. Well, not to make light of the situation, but I do think one of the positive things that's going to come out of all of this is we're all going to be a lot cleaner. So
True.
I don't think that's going away. Actually, I think it's going to be a part of our life from here on out. So great. So, have either of your, how have the dealerships handled it in terms of cut in staff? I mean, has anybody had to go through any kind of reduction in your sales force?
We've more or less just done some reduced schedules. We're working split shifts here in the dealership. So we're kind of alternating the guys out, giving everybody an opportunity to sell a unit while they're here. So we're having to think outside of the box as far as scheduling, things of that nature. We're doing everything we can to get every piece of the pie that we can while it's here. We actually, as of yesterday, just started beefing our staff back up, extending their hours a little bit because we are seeing a slight uptick in traffic. And hopefully that trend will continue and not just be a little glimmer of hope that we've seen over the past couple of days. So as of yesterday, our hours started extending back out, and we're kind of holding on and hoping that trend continues throughout the end of this month.
Well, that's very good news. Peter, how have you guys do it?
We're doing basically the same thing. We split up the shifts every other day, so limiting our exposure to all of this, but also to give opportunities to each individual salesperson, with the limited amount of traffic that is there, trying to maximize opportunities for every salesperson that is in. We also extended our hours yesterday. We've been starting to see a little bit of an uptick as well. So we're hoping to capture a little bit more business by staying open a little bit longer.
Yeah, great. How much of an online presence, other than say a website? So I know, every dealership had a website. Every dealership can put their inventory on the site. When I say web presence, what I mean is how much of the process before this happened did you do online, and how much are you doing now in terms of the process?
Well, we actually just started a BDC department last year as of January of last year. Glad that I did that, that's for sure. But we're certainly utilizing that BDC now. But we've always been pretty aggressive when it comes to delivering cars to people outside of our area. So we were already used to the delivery at home process. We've certainly opened that up now to anyone. We're certainly seeing a lot more of that from our local business. We normally didn't see that unless it was 50 to 100 miles away, where now we're seeing that from people 10 minutes away from the dealership. So,
Wow. Okay. Sean and team?
Yeah, here we recently went to a full BDC. We've always had a kind of like a hybrid BDC where sales associates would kind of cradle to grave a lead, and they would just be dispersed by the BDC, and our handful of BDC agents would kind of examine the leads. Now, about 4 months ago, we went to a full BDC where they handle the whole lead till it comes in, and then a sales associate's introduced. So luckily we did that. We had over 500 phone calls from our 5 BDC agents that were on staff yesterday, and they had live conversations with 144 people. So that's the best day we've ever seen. So people are definitely answering the phones. And also, Toyota Jeff here recently took over our Facebook. So he is doing all the live questions and answerings and for our website too. So he's been a huge help for us.
Nice. Good. Well, say specific to vehicle personalization and the process that we're, here to talk about, what have you done to continue to make sure you're offering customization to those car buyers and maximizing not only their enjoyment of the vehicle and making sure that they know what they can do with the vehicle, and also the revenue. I mean, when you go from selling 300 a month to selling maybe 30 to 100 a month, obviously there's a giant drop in revenue. Maximizing each vehicle sale. What have you guys done to make sure that that's possible?
Well, I guess, we always try to maximize every opportunity that we always get, no matter if it's bad times or good times. But especially now, we've certainly put a focus on accessories and back end options and that type of thing, where we put our Insignia on our website. That's where we normally put all of our online orders and everything like that through. So, we're already used to using the online version of that. And we require that on every single deal, at least, a decline at worst case scenario, but everything is required to have that. What we've been doing is actually making recommendations to the customer based off of what we've learned throughout our whole process. For one, based on their trade and that type of thing. If they already have a hitch on their vehicle, they probably need a new hitch on the new vehicle, that type of thing. But we try to take opportunities to make recommendations for certain specific customer recommended accessories, similar to making a recommendation list, body side moldings, door edge guards, those types of things. But we put a big emphasis on protecting investments at this point.
Great.
And at our dealership, with volume down, this is a great time to not only add extra revenue buckets, because for a lower volume, you can add more to each deal with accessories, but it's also a time to kind of sharpen our skills. And we've encouraged all the salespeople, while it's slow, this is a time to become a master and expert at vehicle customization. So all the while through the process, you talk to customers, tell me about your current vehicle. If they have it, you can, like you said, Peter, you can look at the hitch. You can see if they've had mud guards, those type of things. Do they have step bars on their 4Runner that they're trading in? Those are all things they're going to expect. You can't go back if you have it on your current vehicle. So it's a perfect time to allow customers to customize it, to make it their own, because as we all know, the cars on the lot, that's the foundation, that's the shell. That may not be the vision that customers have in their mind. So it's really a matter of during the qualifying process, find out what's important to them. What is their ideal vehicle? What will make them 100% happy? And in these times, we're so blessed and humbled to have these customers who come in now. We want them bending over backward, telling about how great the experience was, and customization is a huge part of that.
So great observations, and I want to kind of ask you guys sort of a question wrapped in sort of observations that we've had over the many years. Peter, you mentioned you believe that there will be hopefully a super summer selling season. I think we all are on that same page. And what we've noticed over the years is when volume sales get too high or when they get too low, the excuses are different. One, when volume is too high, we just didn't have time to offer accessories, which we all know is goofy. And if you make it part of your process, that doesn't happen. If it gets too low, it's like, well, we were just trying to get the metal over the curb. So what are you all doing to make sure that as we have a volume a spike in volume coming, hopefully this summer, how are you going to keep your salespeople engaged to make sure it's not that's just easy to throw away because, we're just too busy? I saw this in Cash for Clunkers. I guess I'm thinking of Cash for Clunkers, and when that happened, we virtually had no accessory sales because everybody went bananas just trying to move the metal over the curb. And then we wrote article after article of imagine just the volume. Imagine the revenue you would have generated had you added $100, $200 per car, and our normal is $600 a car, right? So just imagine what you lost in all of those cars that went across the curb. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, how can we all work together to not have that happen when we see this giant rocket, hockey stick of sales over the summer?
I guess it's most importantly, just make sure you've got a process in place and don't veer from it. When we started our new process with Insignia 30 days or about 45 days or so ago, we now force march our sales associates before they can seal a deal to walk the customer through the accessory website before they can print out a WIO. Now that WIO might say they bought mud flaps, they might have bought running boards, or it might just say we owe them a tank of gas. But every car sale, every time, they are force marched into that Insignia website to go through the accessories before they can print out the WIO and go into F&I. So as long as you're slow, you're busy, you're fast, times are dead, doesn't matter. 100% of the time, you've got a process in place, and you can't deter from that.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. Process is everything. We're all very process driven, and you have to trust in your processes when it comes to, scenarios like this. But desperation is evil in our business, and confidence is key. I talk to our team about confidence all the time, and desperation is the opposite. And, there's, in dark times like this, people will go to that desperate side of it, and you got to stop them from doing that. You have to be focused on the team and making sure that they're ready for opportunities when they come in the door.
Yeah, great. Now, you both said that you have relied heavily on your BDCs to be that outbound connection to your customers. Are you also training your BDCs to offer vehicle personalization in those times, or are you letting that happen once they've landed on the vehicle and the next step is paperwork? As you can imagine, or I guess you can infer from my question, under a typical situation, you've got a customer in the showroom, they go through the process, they land on a vehicle, you get an initial set of paperwork, now you're transitioning them to the business office. That's the perfect time to offer vehicle personalization. In this new environment, you've got outbound or really follow-up calls maybe from folks that have expressed interest. Where in that process are you forcing that, that as you call it, the March step? At what point are you doing that to offer vehicle personalization in that new format?
Well, I think it starts early on in the process of planting seeds, and making sure that you're looking at opportunities when it comes to trade-in, like we were saying before, if they have running boards already on their current vehicle, so you have to be actively asking questions throughout even the online process, going back and forth with customers, when you're asking about trade-in values, because that's what a lot of customers are asking for right now. It's very important to make sure that we're asking what kind of accessories are on them right now, and if they make good use out of them, because we want to make sure that customers are happy with the accessories that they do get on their vehicles too.
Cool.
So here we kind of, similar to finance, how we show them all the extended service contracts and maintenances and stuff like that. We have each salesperson, when they get a customer. So if David, if you were my customer, I would walk you through just like the menu, except for accessories. And we'd go through each individual one. And as far as the trade goes, like Peter said, we actually do all over phone stuff, either a video or pictures of their car. So it's really easy to pick out the body side moldings or running boards or whatever that they have currently. And we always just show them what our top ones are on our Insignia website. So usually all weather masks is a no-brainer. But just making sure. And we also have a automatic email go out for every customer that we sell or don't sell that goes out 30 days later that just shows like, hey, you bought a Toyota Tundra, here's the top 6 features that you can add to it. And like I said, we actually have people buy a ton that don't even buy from us, that actually bought at another dealership, but they were never offered. So we get those accessory sales even if we don't capture their car purchase.
Nice. Very crafty. Excellent. That's what I call leaning in. That's beautiful. So we'll do one last question, and then we've got a pretty good number of folks that have joined in, and we've got a few questions, and we'll ask for some more questions from our audience, our Facebook audience. I guess the last question would be, how do you see that this process that we've had to adapt to is going to affect us going forward in sort of a new reality? Do you feel that over the internet, over the phone, remote sales will become the number one, or do you see us snapping back to the way we've always done it?
Well, I think with a lot of our customers come from a lot of different areas, and I think that this just adds another section of customers that are going to be more focused on this style of buying or this style of selling. There's still going to be certain customers that are still going to walk in the dealership and do things the way that they normally did, but I think that we have to be prepared for anything, and have processes ready for, the potential. If it does all go to internet, you have to be prepared for that. So you have to prepare for every scenario and hope for the best, of course, but I really think when it comes down to it, we're going to get a mixture of everything. We're going to get regular walk-in customers, probably a little less than what it normally was, and probably a little more emphasis on the internet. But we have to kind of roll with the punches and go with how the market takes us.
Cool.
I think Peter pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Even before any of the COVID stuff came about, a lot of business was going towards the internet. Everybody doing their researches first before they step foot into your store. I think obviously now, because of what's happened, you're seeing a huge influx in that. However, once the state mandates they all lift and rise, I think you're going to see so many people that are stir crazy and been locked up in their house. We're going to see an unbelievable amount of foot traffic there.
I'm with them.
Just like Peter said, I mean, you've got to be prepared for either end of the business. However, as soon as these mandates are lifted, I think we're going to have record after record as soon as everybody gets out and about. The demand's still there. People are just a little bit hesitant about coming out, holding on to cash, things of that nature, seeing what's going to happen. But we're definitely at our store looking forward to a couple of record months here to come.
Yeah,
us too.
Absolutely. I think it's coming because, like you said, the difference between now and 2008 is that we woke up one morning and value had disappeared from the market, and what was thought to be worth $100 was suddenly worth $2, and so that value disappeared. In this scenario, the value is all locked up literally in everybody's house, and we're also seeing the benefits, hopefully, of some of the programs that the government is working on to support us through all this time. So it does bode well for, like you said, some great selling months ahead. One last question. This is for both of the dealerships. Because dealerships are such a part of every community, what have you done? What has your dealership done to reach out to folks and help them community-wise? Not so much sell them a car or service the car, but have you guys done anything? Has your dealerships done anything with local hospitals or charities or anything like that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, we certainly donate a lot to a lot of the local charities around the dealership. We focus a lot on our military charities around the dealership area. We certainly are advertising friends and family pricing and extra incentives for all essential workers. So we're putting our focus where we're supposed to. We're classified as an essential business to help essential workers out there. So our main focus is to make sure that those people are still on the road and we're able to service them and take care of their needs while we're going through all of this. So
awesome.
Something the Andersons did that was very unique across our 8 stores. While people are working unique schedules and a lot of us working remotely, They also offered to pay those individuals that are not in the store to go out into the community and help do any kind of community service that may be out there while paying them as they were here on grounds with us. So just a little something above and beyond that they did to kind of give back to the community for us.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. All right, so let's take a few comments, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these comments up on the screen. We've had a few as we've gone through the process. So let's see. I saw one from here. It is from Darren at State Line. So he's asking about. Nope, that wasn't the one I wanted. Darn it! Hang on. All right, user error. This one. Okay. He's talking about internet part sales, and I know that we're really here to talk about accessory sales. What have you guys seen, and are you privy to? I'm sure, Sean, you're privy to your online part sales. What have you guys seen in your online part sales? Have they been good?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking to the parts director yesterday, and we're actually doing record part sales over the internet. While our business is down, obviously in-house 50+%, almost 60% in-house traffic, our internet business is up considerably, which is a good thing. Obviously, at least we're making some money somewhere right now, and hopefully we'll continue to see that trend, but nobody's able to come into the store like they normally do. So yeah, the internet is going through the roof right now for those folks in the parts department.
Okay, awesome. Peter, any knowledge of your part sales?
We don't do a ton of online part sales right now. We do mostly over the phone and over the counter and through sales, that type of thing, organically from there. But we certainly have seen a little uptick on accessory sales for what we have been getting. So it's not all just internet business, of course, but we have seen a slight uptick on accessory sales.
Cool. Okay. All right. Another question from Darren. He's got a great one here about the email blasts. Greg, can you share any details about specifically how you do those email blasts? Do you use one of your services? Is that through Toyota? Is that through your DMS? Is that through your website service? How do you do that?
So yeah, our CRM is eLeads. So we have an auto thing that goes out from our accessory installer, Gary Marcano, who's been with us forever. He's one of the best in the business, and he's on top of it. So they respond back to that through the eLeads, and it shows, if you bought a Tundra, it shows tonneau cover and like the other things, running boards, gun safe, whatever you wanted, and whatever the top 6 are for each car. And then when you respond back, it automatically goes to Gary, our accessory installer, and then he sets an appointment with you. That way it's nice and seamless. So yeah, that's all out of eLeads. I think 90% of the country's on eLeads. So that's just getting with your eLead rep and just saying you want that to go out as soon as you mark somebody sold or not in the market, then it will automatically set that 30 days out. That way it's not immediately, and they got used to their vehicle in 30 days and they finally see, oh man, I actually would like some all-weather mats. I wish I would have done that. And then you hit them with that email, then it's, oh, I can still do that. That's awesome.
That's cool. Great. Excellent process. Excellent process. Okay, we have kind of a funny, it's a funny comment wrapped in some good questions here, so I'm going to put it up on the screen. Thanks to our longtime friend Mike Pierce, who doesn't want his picture anywhere on the internet. It's actually a sign of, the apocalypse that Mike Pierce is actually on social media. So he only did this for us today. So we appreciate his efforts. He wanted to know about your service numbers and any accessories that you sell over the service drive. And I'm gonna hide it because it's such a long comment. He generally teases all of us about writing him a book on a text message, but he certainly wrote a novel here to us on our page.
Well, I'll tell you, here in our store, our service drive's down about 65%. We're actually the largest dealer in the Southeast as far as service volume. We've been heavily impacted by it, down about 65%. And as far as accessory sales out of our service drive, less than desirable, I'll put it that way. accessories.
You're in progress.
Yeah, we can make a lot of progress, that's for sure. Our guys really aren't motivated for some odd reason to push the accessories. However, we did just order a 42-inch touchscreen monitor for sales and service to use. So it's going to be a beautiful display to walk customers through, whether they're in a new car purchase or they're servicing through the lane. So hopefully we'll see an uptick in service. But as far as overall volume, definitely down about 60 to 65%. And accessory sales, less than desirable for sure.
I would have to say I agree with all of that. Our service business is certainly down too. It's pretty close to the same number, 60 to 65% is pretty similar to where we are too. But and I certainly wish we would sell more accessories on the service drive too.
So let's pick on the service drive for just a quick second, and we'll ask for their grace to allow us to pick on them. The thing I hear from most service directors when we talk about accessories on the service drive is, nope, don't talk to me. My writers have too much to do as it is right now. The last thing on earth that they can do is present accessories. And so what would you guys say to that? Is that a truism, or is that a way to just not add one more thing to the drive?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. 10 years ago, when you were writing service, or at least when I was 10 years ago, you basically had, your pen and paper, you took a little bit of information from the customer, you sent it to the back, and you were good to go. That's about all we were required to do as advisors. Now there's, 5 or 10 different systems you've got to log into and go through step-by-step processes. Takes a lot longer to do that. Different areas they've got to go into that we didn't have to years back. So there's a lot on the ASMs for sure. But if I were to ask my service director right now, hey, I need you to do this, 100% of the time, I'd probably get laughed at. It's revenue for the dealership, there's no doubt about it, but we tasked the ASMs with so much more than we did 5, 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, even 2 years ago, say. It's just a different world now on the service drive. And for us here, we see 300 plus customers a day on the service lane with about 18 advisors. So those guys are wall to wall with tasks. So add something else on them, and that's it'd be a lot to ask for sure.
Yeah. Peter, your thoughts on that?
Well, what we've been doing is actually taking it away from the service department. If they found an opportunity, we actually spiff them to hand that over to the sales department, and then we can take it from there and cool. Take them to the Insignia website and actually walk them through installed costs and that type of thing.
Okay, that's a great idea there, and that could even just be facilitated by a quick question. Is there anything today that you have thought about adding to your car, as a part of, as an accessory that I might be able to help you with today? Yes, great. Let me take you over here to Peter. No, great. Let me keep going with the process. So that's good. That's innovative. That's great. That's a great idea. Okay. Well, I don't see any other comments. So anybody else that's on, feel free to give us one more comment, and otherwise we will thank our great customers there, Peter and Sean and Gregory and Jeff. We really appreciate your business during this time and always. And we really appreciate your comments today. I think that you brought some really good wisdom to the table, and we really appreciate your efforts out there. All right, well, thank you very much. So I'm gonna leave the video here with a special offer. We had a few folks that are commenting. What we're going to do is that if you go on and comment on this video, we'll get those comments, and we're gonna put your name into a drawing, and we're gonna give away 3 one-hour accessory sessions with either myself or Dave West, our Director of Consulting, or Patrick Blackburn, our VP of Sales. And what that's really meant to do is to be a one-on-one with a salesperson that might need a little extra help, or maybe a sales management person who might need a little bit extra help in helping everybody else on the showroom to motivate. That was the word I was looking for. Help motivate people on the showroom floor, and that's going to be on the house for us to help our customers really get through this time. So make a comment on the video here. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to sign off. As soon as I click the right button.